My poem's for you. My poem's for you. Trust me, I have one for everybody. Whether you're a one-time listener or you stay in tune. If you know who I am, or you haven't seen me in a blue moon, I can get to you. If you sit at the back of the class, serve out checkouts, feed your kids, or you play ball after school. If you felt down and out, or you're feeling loud and proud, on top of the world because you have something to shout about. Or if you're feeling lonely because no one understands the struggle, I got a poem for if you're bored. If you want to hear some words being spoken to you by a poet, I have a poem for you. Something nice on the ear that will soothe you. Something that rhymes nice and will move you. Funny things past and present that will amuse you. I've got rhymes to release the thoughts that consume you. I've got verses that will relate directly to you, and from the opening to the end, nothing but pure enlightenment, so I have you needing to watch a tutorial on how I just schooled you. My rhyming couplets are like a harp, and the sweet ring of the rhyme that's pulled you, enticing because you don't know what notes I'll hit next, and you've never listened to it before, but for some reason you can't wait to hear more, because I've got lyrics for those who just sit on stones thinking about skipping stones. For those whose mind evolved when they turn old and they realize their future was bold, so they ensure that their success was set in stone. I've got stories to tell for the people that like listening, envisioning the scenery set for them as I describe a sunset on a desolate place with crazy juxtaposition, and they're forced to use their senses because they catch a whiff to the next sentence and now they're sniffing for the next setting. I've got life lessons for those people that may be regretting the time they lied to a loved one or fell victim to some greed and jealous tendencies, but they need a few guiding words to get them back on path and avoid that double jeopardy. I've got some soppy stuff for those people who like sonnets and lovey-dovey stuff. I've got some serious talks about how this materialistic world has our minds consumed and captivated because we believe that the next man's better than us because he has red lubes and lots of ladies. A brother who thinks he's made it because he's on the estate with leather seats and some shades, but really and truly the government is eating into his wages. And the money he spends on designer goes straight back into the pocket of the man that he is constantly stating is the opposite of an angel. I've got similes for those people who love poetry like me. I've got a fast flow and some alliteration for those who never thought they'd be navigating their way through numbers of lines of lyrics trying to find and define vivid visualizations of sweet vine fruit depicted by the words that I spray and spit from my lips as I try and mesmerize you. I've got lines for those who never imagined listening to a poem but have now found themselves tuned into the channel, learning linguistic devices and waiting for the next video. Essentially, I have a poem to amaze you. A poem for when you're sitting at the table waiting for your date to come. And you can learn a lot of loving lines from that poem. Something to make them say that they feel grateful to have dated you. I have a poem for when you're sitting on a bus thinking about how your day has been. And at that same time, that poem can take you away from the places you've seen and give you a breather from the world and get you prepared for the days ahead of you. I have a poem to change you, not to create you. Because I have poems about he who created you, but simply to help mold and make a greater you. Really and truly, you have my poems. Because I write them for the people, and without listeners, I'm nothing but a thinker with a pen and some paper, but because of you, I am a poet. And you can make my calligraphy jet onto the A4, and those adjectives, verbs, and nouns jump into some shape and form. And whilst I've tried my best to describe in my tools, I feel like I don't have enough time to construct an image of what I can do for you and more. So, most of all, I just want you to know that I have a poem for you all. Bang. I am sick and tired of schools, rules, kids getting high and escaping out of the atmosphere on and light balloons. I'm sick of our generation busting jokes like cartoons. When there's life-changing elections, we're acting like buffoons. A new dance trend and the Kardashians' butt is bigger in the news. People with talent are struggling for views. Single mums pick and choose between a reduced meal for themselves or a meal for one split into two. Teenagers self-harm and the rate in which the climate is changing is alarming. Oh, you forgot about that. Nah, that's still happening. The fact that we sit and believe that there still isn't cures for deadly diseases and we merely invest into government businesses, meant charities is embarrassing. I'm sick and tired of the continuous repetition of supposed xenophobic views. Racism is not shared by me and you. It's simply a tool created by them to keep classes separated. I mean, come on. When was the last time a working class person racially abused you? Yeah, we have the ignorant, like the people who segregate themselves. And I'm sick and tired of hearing we need to keep our cultures to ourselves. Because you lot are quick enough to play the trump card, but you're not quick enough to realise you're not judged by your colour, religion, tats in your arms, dread, stretched ears, mohawks. You are simply judged on how far you deviate away from the class.